everybody, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Lindsay and I bring you content on clean beauty and skincare. If you're not already subscribed, I would love to have you. Today's video, we're going to be demoing and reviewing the 100% Pure Fruit Pigmented Water Foundation. This is a reformulation of their old foundation and it's supposed to be full coverage with a light dewy finish. I've heard a lot about this foundation, so I had to try it out for myself. If you want to know my thoughts, then keep watching. Alright guys, so I already have my skincare on. To prep my skin, I did pick up the 100% Pure Mattifying Primer. I've been using this the past week and I've really been loving it. The description on this primer says, silicone-free primer infused with skin plumping seaweed collagen makes cosmetic application flawless and lasts longer. It fills in lines for smoothness while keeping excess shine away. This is so weird because it feels exactly like a silicone primer, but it doesn't have any silicone in it. When I picked this up, I thought it was going to be like more of a tacky primer that's like really absorbent in your oils, but I love how smoothing it is. It's honestly crazy like how much it resembles silicone based primers, but it doesn't have any silicone. It's crazy. I feel like this would work even if you don't have oily skin. If you just want like a nice smooth base, it would be perfect. As long as you don't have like dry skin, because it does absorb your skin's oils a little bit, it would be perfect. They also have an illuminating version. I haven't tried that one because usually I'm the oilier side, but this one I'm literally obsessed with and I did not think I was gonna like it as much as I do, but it's so smooth. I find it just leaves a really like perfect base for makeup. Totally loving this so far and glad that I picked it up. Now onto the foundation. This is the box it comes in. It is 1 ounce. I got the shade Warm 2. They have 19 shades of this foundation, I believe, and it retails for $41. This is the bottle it comes in. It does have a pump as well. So let me read you the description it says about this foundation. It says, healthy hydrating foundation gives you full coverage and a slightly dewy finish for a glowing complexion. Formulated with calendula aloe green tea, anti-aging red wine, ALA, vitamin E, and skin-softening superfruit oils of pomegranate and acai berries, colored from vitamin antioxidant-rich fruit and vegetable pigments. I was really interested in this foundation because it does claim to be full coverage and it says it has a lightly dewy finish. I used this twice before and so far I didn't really like how it looked on my skin. I'm not really sure if it's how I'm applying it. I'm gonna go ahead and apply it on camera for you guys to show you how it looks on my skin. I'm gonna use a sponge with it, but I also will try a brush. When I used it the previous 2 times, I did use a brush and I find it did not end up looking good at all. It clinged to a lot of like my texture that I honestly didn't even know I had. It just did not look very good on my skin. But anyway, let me go ahead, shake this up, and we'll start applying this. Get the shade Warm 2, like I mentioned, which is lighter than I thought it would be. So if you guys are looking at the shades online and are curious about them, I would say they do run a little light because this one on the website did look darker, but it is a very fair shade. They do offer some other undertones as well. They have warm, cool, neutral, and I think they have olive as well, which I think is good that they're offering more shades. That's what it looks like on the back of my hand. I'm just gonna start with 1 pump and see how it works. Like I said, I'm just using a damp Real Techniques sponge. It does smell just like natural. I don't really know how to describe the scent. It's not too strong, but it's definitely one of the stronger scented foundations that I have. It's not an artificial fragrance, obviously. It's just natural smelling. Okay, so that didn't look too bad. I wouldn't say that's full coverage on my skin. I would say that's like a good medium. Let me go ahead and do this. I'm actually not going to use a brush because when I did the previous 2 times, it didn't work out. It's looking a lot better with a sponge. So I would say that's the way to go when applying this foundation. So that's what 1 pump looks all over my face. I would say the shade is a little light for me. Like I said online, it did look a little bit darker. I would say it definitely looks good with the sponge. It's kind of redeemed itself. I thought I hated it when I was using it with a brush, but with a sponge, it definitely applied a lot smoother. Definitely wouldn't call it full coverage on my skin, at least. It's a medium coverage. I feel like in clean beauty, full coverage means like a whole different thing than in conventional beauty, because when I used to use conventional products and a foundation said full coverage, like they meant business when they said full coverage. This I would say is just a good medium. I'm gonna of course do another pump to see if we can build it up. But first let me zoom you guys in just so you can see how one pump looks on my skin. I would say it looks really natural on my skin. It is creasing like a little bit in my smile lines. But other than that, it does have like a really nice natural sheen to it. I wouldn't really call it lightly dewy. I would call it more of a satin finish. Maybe it's because I used the mattifying primer that it is pulling a little bit more satin than dewy. But I do like the finish that it gives me. It didn't really cover any acne scars that well, or like these things on my forehead. But let's go in with a second layer and see how it does. Alright, I think it's layering pretty well on itself. It's not really picking up on the layer beneath it or anything weird like that. The consistency is fairly liquidy, so it blends in pretty good. I would say a lot of it I feel like is being absorbed into the sponge, just because like sponges tend to do that, especially with more liquidy type foundations. But other than that, I'm liking the application of it. It smells a little bit like Play-Doh now that I'm applying it. Not in a bad way though, I don't mind the scent. With 2 layers, I'm definitely seeing that it's becoming more full coverage on my skin. I think it looks really beautiful. It looks really natural on the skin, even with that second layer. It doesn't look too heavy or cakey, still has like that natural sheen to it. So far I'm liking it. I went into this video thinking I didn't like this foundation because when I tried it with a brush, it just did not work out well. It was looking really weird and clung to my texture. So I would say definitely apply this with a sponge. If you got it and used it with a brush and didn't like it, try it again with a sponge, because I feel like the application and the finish is like totally different when you do use a sponge. I think it's looking really beautiful on the skin. Like I said, it looks natural. I wouldn't say it's like a really full coverage. It's kind of just like a typical light full coverage, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think it's really pretty. There's like some texture on my nose I noticed that it's kind of clinging to, but nothing too bad. My acne scars don't look too cakey or weird. The only thing I would say that I'm noticing is it is settling into my smile lines a little bit, but a lot of foundations do that just because I have like deep set cheeks, if that makes sense. Yeah, other than that, looks really good. I feel like I keep repeating myself, but so far I do like the finish on the skin with the sponge. It's pretty okay. I'm gonna go ahead and do the rest of my makeup, and while I'm doing that, I'll talk more about what I think of the foundation. I'm just gonna use the Clove and Hollow Conceal and Correct Concealer, my favorite, as you guys already know. But anyway, about the foundation, I would say this would be really beautiful if you have normal to drier skin and you want a fuller coverage foundation, but you don't want it to look cakey and you still want a really natural finish. I think that would be perfect for anybody with that skin type. If you have textured skin that you're worried about being accentuated, maybe not go with this foundation, because I do notice with texture it can cling to it a little bit, but the sponge definitely helps with that. If you are normal to oily like I am, if you use the smoothing primer with it, I'm not getting too dewy of a finish. I feel like this would last pretty long on my skin because it doesn't have too much of like that oily residue kind of sitting on top of my skin. It did a really good job at like sinking into my skin and just blending in nicely. Now to set my under eyes, I'm going in with the Honest Beauty, what is this called? Invisible Blurring Loose Powder. They sell this at Target. Decided to pick it up to see if it was nice because I think it's more of an affordable option. I don't remember how much it was, but comes with like one of those mesh top type sifters. I do notice with this you have to use the smallest bit, especially if you have dry skin, or else it can really like make your skin look ultra matte. But I think with just a little bit it does a beautiful job at setting down concealer. It does kind of smell weird, like I don't know, like cornstarch maybe? I have no idea what the smell is. It's not too powerful, but it is just like something I notice when I'm applying it. Yeah, I don't know if you saw that, but it's like an ultra matte powder. It does do a really good job when I set my smile lines at keeping those creaseless. I'm also just going to take a little bit of that and set the rest of my face just because we're going to be putting some powder bronzer on, so I don't want it to like stick to the foundation. I was thinking of doing like a more affordable type full face, you know, using like Honest Beauty and like more accessible, affordable options. If you guys want to see that, definitely let me know in the comments below. I think that would be fun to do. I think it would also be cool to do an affordable skincare routine. So let me know if either of those sound like something you guys would like to watch. Alright, I think I definitely need some bronzer. I'm going to go in with the Well People Bio Base Baked Bronzer. That's what it looks like. This is a fairly new bronzer to me that I'm testing out. I do like it. It's more of a, I wouldn't say it's completely warm toned. It's more of like a neutral brown bronzer compared to like the Han Cosmetics Malibu bronzer. It is definitely on the warmer side. So if you have deeper skin or if you just like a warmer toned bronzer, I think this would be pretty. It is sheer though. I find you could build it up. That's the shade right there. If you have deeper skin, this probably would not show up on you, so I would not go for this bronzer. But on me, when I'm fair, it's definitely pretty bronzy. I'm definitely feeling a lot more alive now that my bronzer's on. Next up for blush, I'm going in with the PYT, what is this called? It's their Heartbeat Cheek Color in the shade Hustle. This is like one of my favorite blushes at the moment. It's just a really pretty mid-tone pink. I think the foundation is meshing really well with any powder products I put on top of it. I did set it with that powder, which kind of accentuated like the dryness I have on my nose, but I think that was just the powder I put on it. So far it is looking good. Now I feel like I definitely need some dew back in my face, so I'm going to go in with the Iri Perez. This is their Vanilla Highlighter in Falling Star. I did include this in my Iri Perez foundation video. It's a really gorgeous lighter champagne cream highlight. And then I'm just going to use my finger for this. This is a really pretty cream highlight. It's a thicker cream, but it's also very light at the same time, even though that doesn't even make sense. It just goes beautifully over powder. I've had some cream highlights that just like do not look good over powder, and they kind of just like patch up with whatever powder you have, but I find this one is really pretty and it gives you a really strong like sheen, but you could also sheer it out. I usually put quite a lot on. I think it's gorgeous just to add some life back to the face. They also have another shade of this highlighter, which is like a deeper bronze, which would be gorgeous if you have medium to deeper skin. I will link this below if you guys are interested. I think it's a really good cream highlight. I mentioned this in my other video, but I like how the pan is really large as well. So you can really like get in there if you wanted to use a brush. It's really easy to. With the smaller jars, I think it's really hard to like apply them. So this is nice that it's open. I will say I'm really impressed at how natural this foundation is looking, even though I did 2 layers and it's more of a full coverage foundation. It doesn't look like I have a full coverage foundation on, let alone 2 layers of a full coverage foundation. So that's definitely a good thing to note about the foundation. It's looking really natural. I think, you know, it all came together. I didn't think I was gonna like the foundation in the end, but it's really growing on me. I'm gonna go ahead and just throw a red lip on as well. For my liner, I'm gonna use the Flora Remedia. This is their Jasper Classic Red Lip Liner. I posted about this on my Instagram. It's a really nice natural lip liner. I did need a red one in my collection, so I was excited when I got this one. So I'm just gonna go ahead and line my lips. I was gonna do red, but I changed my mind. I'm gonna use the Clove & Hollow Napa Lip Velvet. This is more of a purple berry tone. I really love these formulas. I need to pick up another shade. I really want the, it's like a more neutral shade. I think it's called Cupcake. That looks really gorgeous, but I'm just gonna go ahead and apply this. Alright guys, so I went ahead and finished up my makeup. If you're curious about anything I put on my face, everything will be linked below along with the foundation, everything I used. Check the description box out below. Forgot to mention this, but when I did purchase the foundation and the primer, They had a free gift with a $75 purchase, and the value of the gift was like $200 or something dollars. It came with a serum, a balm, 2 sheet masks, and like the cutest little bag. If that's still going on, I will put it in the description below. I think it did end in January. But if there is any promotions, everything will be put in the description box below. I think that was a really great deal. I will update you guys on my Instagram if I see like any new things like that coming out. So make sure you follow me on there. Just to sum up my opinion of the foundation, when I applied it with the brush the previous times I used it, I didn't really like it. I think it clung to texture. But now with the sponge, I do really love the finish of it. I think if you have drier skin or a lot of texture problems, maybe steer away from this one because I feel like it does accentuate it a little bit. But when applied with a sponge, I think it gave me a really even, beautiful finish. Wasn't completely full coverage with one coat, at least on my face. But with the second coat, I think it did build up to be pretty full coverage, which is really great for a natural foundation. Definitely one of the best natural foundations I've tried. It didn't completely wow me at first, but I do think it's a really good pick if you're looking for a foundation. They do offer a good amount of shades as well. With the smoothing primer, it did end up to be more of a satin finish, but on its own, it does have that light dew to it, so it's not too oily or greasy. It's not going to slide off your face. I did wear this for a couple full days, and I find it does wear well. I don't know if it's with the smoothing primer or without, but it didn't get too oily around my nose. It didn't break up. The only thing I would say is that it does settle into my lines a little bit. If you have mature skin, this might not work for you, but everyone's skin is different, so obviously like works for me, but it might not work for some people. They have a great return policy if you guys wanted to try this foundation. I think they offer returns within a 45-day window, so if you weren't sure of it, they do offer returns, which I think is great. I do think I could have gotten like a bit of a darker shade. I feel like my neck is a little darker than my face, but with bronzer, looks nice. I'm really liking the finish of it. But yeah, I think this is a great foundation from 100% Pure. This was the first foundation I tried from them, and I am impressed. I'll definitely have to try out more of their products. If you guys have tried 100% Pure and have any favorites, definitely let me know below. Absolutely loving the primer though. Like, this blew me away. It feels just like a silicone based primer, but it doesn't have any silicone, which is basically what I've been looking for in a primer for so long. I absolutely love it. I don't even know how they got that silicone feel without silicone. This is like magic. It is a pricey primer, but totally worth it. It's 1 ounce, but you need the smallest amount to cover your whole face, like probably a pea size. Does a great job at smoothing out lines. Totally recommend the primer, and I do enjoy the foundation as well. That was it for today's video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I would love for you to join me. Also, let me know what foundation you'd love to see me review next. I really like doing these foundation videos, and I think you guys seem to like them as well. So comment below if you've been interested in any foundations or anything you'd like to see from me. Put it below. Thank you guys again for watching, and I will see you in my next video.